Oh boy. Hello everyone, welcome to TV Talks, the show where we take a look at both the good and the bad of what television has to offer. One Piece! Yep, don't give it up. Don't give it up. 4Kids Foxbox Marathon continues and presses on. Ugh, One Piece. Ooh. Out of all the dubs 4Kids has done, this is the most hated and the most infamous and the most changed. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's customary to change some things in dubs, but 4Kids went above and beyond. But even with all that said, this was changed more than any dub I've ever seen, to the point where I can declare this the worst dub ever. However, I'm not that angry at it because of its history, which I've gone over the history before, but for those who don't know, this is what happened. So, 4Kids was doing a very, very good job business-wise. I mean, sure, people were liking them a lot at the time because this is pre-Hate 4Kids era. So they were deciding to do all these new things, like picking up Sonic X, some F-Zero stuff that was in the works, and that would take a long time to actually come out. But a lot of things were starting to pick up, Cubics also, too, Funky Cops even, although that didn't really last. And people were starting to get really on fire. So they decided to go, hey, Fighting Foodons wasn't a hit, so let's try to find something in that genre that would be a hit. And no, it's not One Piece, but Dinosaur King. Dinosaur King was the one that they stumbled across and absolutely had to have. But there was an issue here. The company that would let them dub it, the one that owned the licenses, would only let them dub it if they would dub One Piece, because One Piece in Japan was huge. It was an enormous success, and, well, I think even still is, because from what I've heard, it just goes on forever. 4Kids took one look at this anime and said, no, we cannot do this. Foxbox may have had a couple duds here and there, but we're not about to do this because this is not right for our demographic. Our company's name is 4Kids. That's what we do, and although it's not in the network name, as of yet, Foxbox is not meant to house this kind of show. But they really wanted Dinosaur King. They really, really wanted it. And, well, they kept lowering and lowering the price, so they said, you know what? We've got no choice. Dinosaur King is starting to catch on, so we need to do it. We need some more hits. And who knows, maybe it won't be that hard to dub, but it turns out it was hard to dub. The people who were writing for it absolutely hated what they were doing. They knew this show was not at all in any way meant for them, but they knew they had no choice or else they'd get their licenses to Dinosaur King taken away. Which, funny enough, Dinosaur King actually aired at the very end of the Foxbox run because of all the development issues with that one. No, I won't be reviewing that one because there's just not enough substance to provide a review. And it's also not really relevant here, so I won't go over it. But the point being, One Piece was dreaded by everyone who worked there. Nobody had faith in it. Nobody even wanted to do it. They knew all the edits they had to make to this anime were ridiculous. They hated what they were doing. So, they had no choice but to release it on the Foxbox. And immediately, eyebrows were raised. People who knew what One Piece was were confused as to why 4Kids of all the companies got the rights to this one. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? Well, yeah, I mean, if you've been listening, you'll know exactly what happened. And yeah, as soon as it premiered, it has been declared as the worst Foxbox 4Kids show ever. And I know I mentioned that Funky Cops was not a success, and that was one of the lowest rated ones, but that's considered the lowest rated of the original programs. This is just of all time. People hated it, and 4Kids was not surprised. However, they got some good numbers in return. Yeah, people came back to watch it a lot. But something happened. They stopped promoting it because, ooh, we don't like this. We don't like this at all. They gave it the standard on the next episode of One Piece. They gave it those general ones, but yeah, they slowly started to peter out if you look carefully. If you look through the records, they slowly stop advertising, and although the new episodes do get advertised, albeit slightly less as time goes on, less overall commercials for the program were aired. And yeah, it happened. they got their rights revoked to this. Dinosaur King was allowed to stay, but they took this away, and then it was given to Funimation. And, well, there was a rumor going around that 4Kids was actually happy when this happened, and now, due to my research and contacts and all that, that has been proven to be true. They were ecstatic when they no longer had to work on this. They were thrilled. It was the best day of their lives, pretty much. Because, well, they liked the original, but they didn't like their version. They knew everything about it was wrong. So now they don't have to do it anymore, so that they could just move on and dust it off as a failure. However, that came with some issue here, because their reputation was badly hurt. People saw them as those guys that made the horrendous One Piece dub, and their ratings were declining on all their stuff, although some more than others. So what happened? They decided, hey, let's get that brand name out there, and then yep, this was one of the stepping stones for Foxbox, the network that cared, to become 4Kids TV, the network that couldn't give a crap about anything other than that sweet dollar. So yeah, this show is actually partially to blame for the ultimate removal and downgrade of the Foxbox. Foxbox was amazing. It really cared about what it did, but because this ended up hurting its reputation, that and also just them wanting more revenue, more brand recognition, and them wanting to expand an extremely unreasonable amount, they overhauled it and got rid of it. So yeah, my personal ire is directed to this for that alone, but how's the show itself? Well, I think the crew put it best. It's not our show, we shouldn't have done it, get us out of here. Although they never said that in any press releases, they pretended that they were on board with it because, well, say that Jimmy Neutron was coming out, and then Nickelodeon said, oh, this show, we had no choice but to do it, but we really wanted to make Chalk Zone, and the only way that we could make Chalk Zone was if we could make this show, so just bear with us. That wouldn't look good on either the show or your network. So they kind of had to come out and then promote it. But, yeah, I'm right there with everybody saying this is atrocious. You know how you start to know that the show is bad? When you get to the theme song alone, everybody talks about it, and now it's my turn. Let's start with the positives, because there are a couple. The beat is kind of nice. The animation they picked to go along with it kind of gets you a little excited. Okay, now for the bad stuff. Everything else. Why would you make One Piece, this fairly adult anime that's about pirates and crime and murder and greed and all that stuff, why would you give it a rap theme? It just does not fit it at all. I mean, the guy sounds excited, but you can also tell that he kind of knows that this is a pretty stupid song he's singing. That and the lyrics are just horrendous. They try to give all the characters this little rundown and a very brief explanation of what's going on. But it's like the Naruto German theme, where not only do they not get the characters, but it's so brief that you don't even get the characters, or even the ones that they're shilling, which aren't even actually their real personality traits. That is all wrong. But then we get to the actual show, and then you miss the theme song. Now, I'm going to be clear, I have not seen that much of the original One Piece, nor the Funimation version. I've only seen a couple episodes in preparation, just for some comparison. And I'm not going to compare them here, because it's like comparing SpongeBob Season 3 to SpongeBob Season 6. It's just, they look the same, they kind of sound the same, but in content-wise, they're not the same. Because yes, this was the most heavily edited show on 4Kids' library throughout its entire duration. Not just Foxbox 4Kids era, but also even Toonzai. Yeah, that bad, because we all know what happened to Dragon Ball, don't we? So, how badly did they edit this? Ooh, you have no idea. So you remember how in Funky Cops they let some guns and some violence slide? Well, because there was an abundance of it here, they didn't feel like it could really pass off. So, guns became fingers, bullet guns became bang guns, cigarettes became lollipops. You name it, it happened. Now, there's one or two I can kind of agree with, like a blackface caricature kind of thing, being a little altered. And there's just like one or two things, but 90% of the time, it's what the heck are you thinking? Because this is when the transition was happening. And this is when they started getting all protective and greedy and stuff. Although, not quite to the level of 4Kids yet, because, well, they did try to make it go up to their standards. It's just the way they did it was ridiculous, and they knew it too. Now, this is another unconfirmed rumor. This one I have not been able to get any answers on, no matter how hard I've tried or who I've talked to, is that they were intentionally making it terrible to get it out of their possession. I don't know. I have no evidence to support nor to refute this, but it does seem like they kind of want to. I mean, with not only how they edit it, but how badly it looks when they edit it. So the animation is a little stylized, but it has very kind of detailed animation. It has very rich, dark colors a lot of the time for a lot of like clothes or skin or what have you. The colors are very specific, kind of. But what they put over it is clearly some like clip art or some post-production cell or something. They just paste over it. It doesn't even look like it's in the same world as all the characters and objects. How's the voice cast? Well, Dan Green's in it. He does a good job. Now, here's the thing with the 4Kids thing. The actors do a good job with what they're given. I mean, yes, a lot of the dialogue is horrible, absolutely horrible. It does not belong in the show, and a lot of things has been changed. But for what they're given, the characters do a decent job. I mean, say what you will about 4Kids quality, even in the later days, but the actors they always get always try. They always try to do a good job, and they always try to make the show exciting. You know, it's just, well, trying doesn't really mean succeeding, and they also knew this was bad in every feasible way. But they still did it anyways. I mean, they're under contract. They have no choice. So I kind of feel bad for them a little, but at the same time, they might be having fun. I mean, the dialogue is just so stilted and ridiculous that you might even have no choice but to find it hilarious. Who knows? I'd actually like to see that one day, whether or not they actually did like it. Maybe some sort of documentary called What Went Wrong? Because here's one thing with it. Yes, I am right on board with the hate. The edits are awful. The characters are a lot more annoying and a lot blander in this version. The action is nowhere near as good. Everything is just inferior. But I'm also in the very, 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 very slim to almost non-existent party that believes that people are a little too harsh on this show. Okay, I'm not because of the show itself, because it's terrible, absolutely terrible. But I think that in order to judge the show fairly, you need to know its history. I mean, think about it. Stuff like The Room is terrible, but when we know its history, we know it's even worse because of all the shady stuff that went behind the scenes, like Tommy's seemingly infinite source of money, or how badly the cast and crew was treated. That also adds to how bad everything is. On the other hand, stuff like Richard Williams' The Thief and the Cobbler, or the Miramax version, is bad, but when you know the history, it's more tragic than it is laughably bad. Because it turns something that would be so bad it's good into something that's just infuriating. Knowing the history for a lot of things can actually really benefit you and actually really help you get an understanding as to what happened. And I think this story is one of the most tragic things that ever happened to 4Kids. They never wanted this. This was a plague that just so happened to come across them. Now I know you could have said, yes, they should have just negotiated more and just gotten Dinosaur King, or yes, they should have just, I don't know, just said no. But here's the thing. There's a reason why they wanted Dinosaur King. Pokemon. See, they owned the rights to Pokemon, dubbing it and all. But the Pokemon boom was on its way out. This was a 2003, 4, 5, like in that area, where things were really starting to quiet down. This is when Hoenn was the big thing, and Hoenn was amazing, but it's just that a lot of the old original fans just started kind of to drop off and more things were catching people's eyes. The Pokemon boom was just kind of over and 4Kids was kind of afraid. Dinosaur King was a proven success in Japan, and hey, it's similar to Pokemon, so why not get that? Because if they didn't, who knows what would have happened to them? So they kind of were getting a little desperate, so they kind of wanted to do it. And they also had a feeling that maybe if they did dub One Piece, it wouldn't be all that bad. But when they saw just how much of it didn't fit their demo, they got panicky. And then this is what happened. Could a One Piece dub on 4Kids have worked? Maybe. Maybe if they took another year of production and just kind of sat down and decided to retool a lot of their stuff, maybe it could have worked. Maybe we could have seen something along the lines of Sonic X, where there are a lot of people that are divided for it, but a majority of the people do like it, especially when they know that Sega asked them to do all these changes. However, the people who own One Piece did not ask them to do the changes, but that's still kind of that. But yeah, they got all panicky, they had to rush it, and they didn't really put as much of a focus on this one as they did with Dinosaur King, which was not a success over here, actually. And it also didn't really air in the Foxbox era that much, because, well, dubbing that was such a nightmare. But this is about One Piece. Really, aside from a couple so bad it's good things, I don't really see very many redeeming qualities. The only actual legitimate thing I can say is that the actors put in some good work, but it's still, what they're reading is atrocious. The lines they do lift from the original do work, but the stuff they try to add in, or the stuff they try to overplay, it just comes across as foolish and really cringy. So yeah, it's hard to watch, the edits are terrible, the theme song is obnoxious, and it hurt the 4Kids legacy that was doing up to this point very well and getting actually some decent respect. And then this is what turned it all over. I'd say it's a good thing that Funimation got a hold of it. Although I haven't seen a ton of it, I can certainly say that their version is a lot better and a lot more watchable. What happened here? Well, not the worst thing ever. It's pretty bad. The only reason I'm not going all screaming and angry at it is just because I feel sorry for it. Because, well, that history just kind of hurt it. It just got crippled right out of the gate and just tried and tried, but it just couldn't get anywhere. And with all those people hating it, and then this also catching on to a lot of people's eyes saying, hey, this isn't like the original after they saw the new version that came out. What's happening? And then people started looking into it, and then they started realizing all the edits they were made. So yeah, this might be the one that really took away all 4Kids' respect. Now, it's not the one that killed it, but it's the thing that made them lose all respect. Because when the Funimation came out, and then there's Hit Toonami, and other sort of distribution networks, people started taking a look at what they saw here, for, those people who didn't already catch on that this was certainly not what it was supposed to be, which was actually quite a fair bit of people. But still, a lot of people started taking a look at it and then realizing just what was happening with 4Kids, and then started blowing it out of proportion, but that's a topic I've already covered in the first video. Scallion seal of disapproval? Oh yeah. But in a way, I almost feel bad for doing this. Again, that history, man, just that history. I don't think it could have been anything magnificent or anything really that good, but who knows, if they did take a little more time and didn't rush it, who knows? But what we did get was awkward, clumsy, embarrassing, but with a touch of tragedy. Well, folks, this is the worst of the worst I could have gotten. And for the Foxbox 4Kids Marathon, we have 3 more shows to go through, just 3 more, then a retrospective, and then we're going back to our original programming. What are the next 3 shows? Well, I know, but you don't know, and you're just gonna have to wait to find out. So what did you guys think of One Piece? Any of the versions? Does knowing the history make you think a little bit differently about what happened here? Does it change your perspective at all? Does it alter anything in any way at all? And yes, this is all true. I've gotten this verified from multiple sources and people. But, see, this is what happens when you do a lot of reaching out and a lot of research. You tend to know a lot of things that a lot of people really don't care about. Man, I'm wasting my life. So, folks, the marathon is wrapping up pretty soon. Just 3 more videos and then a retrospective. So, tune in next time where we're going to talk about... was about to tell you there, but no. Not gonna let you in on it. Alright, this outro's going on long enough, so see you later.